Forced polyamory is called cheating. Ready for a ride? I'm gonna share the story about the 7 most wasted months of my life. Buckle up, there are red flags everywhere. I used to do obstacle course races a lot. In February of 2019, the first race of the season was in Jacksonville, and I hopped on it to get a good start to the year. While on the course, I met a man and we struck up a conversation. I chose to stick with him and talk for the 5 or so remaining miles on the course because the conversation was pretty great and I was going for obstacle completion, not time. While I don't remember too much of the conversation, I do remember him mentioning his wife and his ex, but I was only being friendly, not flirty, so I didn't really care. I had a boyfriend at the time, with whom I broke up with that day for an unrelated reason. It had been coming for a while. Boy, if I had known how horrible he was to his wife, who was giving him time separation support space to do what he needed, deal with his midlife crisis, and how utterly obsessed with his ex-girlfriend he was, I'd never have said a word to him. He gave me his number that day because, as it turned out, he lived really close to where I did. I was excited to have a new friend. He and I texted a few days after returning home and he invited me over to hang out one morning. Less than a week later, after dropping my son off at school, we ended up having sex, because why not? Over the course of the next month, he would mention his ex every few days. I tried to be supportive, to help him work through it, to be a sounding board. But it only made it worse. By the time June rolled around, we had been exclusive for a while. I'd lock up and be unable to speak. I thought about considered leaving in the early days, back in March 2019, and still to this day kick myself for not doing it, because he let it slip that she was the one who'd gotten away. She had had him blocked on all platforms and on her phone from before we met until July 2019. I was there when he noticed she had unblocked him, when she started liking his posts, when she texted him for the first time. I tried to stay supportive, knowing full well he was a ragdoll made of red flags and stuffed with more red flags. One night he decided to go out with her and friends. Another night he lied to me about going out with her and ignored me all night and then gaslit me endlessly about my concerns. My boundaries from the beginning had been clear. We were exclusive, not inclusive. But things changed. All the constant gaslighting, the lying, the many times I tried to stand up for myself and state my case to him ended up with me changing my own boundaries. He told me in July 2019 that he was polyamorous. I was against it because I didn't understand it. I tried so hard to understand. He had me meet her, the ex. He convinced me to hang out with her. Eventually there ended up being a threesome and he decided to call it a triad. I had never seen him so happy when we were all together, so I just went with it, even though I still didn't understand polyamorism, was still very uncomfortable with all of it, and hadn't really even been ready for the threesome. I told him later that I didn't think I had been ready for the threesome, that I just kind of got pulled into the moment and that I was just brutally uncomfortable with the situation for the moment. My mental health getting worse by the hour. He exclaimed, "So you're saying I f***ed you?" I knew I should have left. I still, to this day, don't know why I didn't. I told him I was trying to understand, trying to be supportive, trying to keep that extreme happiness I had seen in him in his heart. He essentially accused me of ruining it. I hated so much how he would hold her and kiss her, and the vision of him making love to her during the threesome was seared into my brain. I told him I couldn't do it, at least yet. That I needed time. All of these conversations happened from August to September. Well, fast forward to the middle and end of September, I was still not ready. I couldn't even talk to her. I was angry with her for just coming into my relationship without caring that my partner was exclusively taken. My anger towards him was building every day. I knew I wanted to leave, but for some reason I just didn't. Every time I'd even hint at it, he'd do something to keep me there, like giving me a house key, or teaching me to do something he loved. On the 23rd of September, I was at work when he and I spoke on the phone as he was driving. He told me the ex was going to be coming over that night, and that he was going to have sex with her if she wanted to. I said that I just needed time, I wasn't ready to do this. He said, "Well, how long do I have to wait?" And something finally snapped in my brain and I told him it was over before blocking him everywhere. I haven't cried a single tear over him since before I dumped him. I knew he was a red flag the size of the Sears Tower. But what I've been forced to recognize since it ended was that what he was doing was not okay. It was not polyamory. It was forced polyamory. Essentially cheating and using the "well, this is who I really am" line against me. I now understand poly and know for sure it's just not for me. I've been over him since before I dumped him. I lost a lot of my light in that 7-month stretch. I was just a shell of myself on the way out of it all. But I'm happy now, and I don't put up with shit like his anymore. I'm an advocate for myself now, and stand firm on where my boundaries lie. There are so many more intricate details to this story, but this is long enough. Just remember, friends, trust your gut, and if someone crosses one boundary, they will cross all boundaries. If you recognize that you are being lied to, gaslit, cheated on, or made uncomfortable to the point that your base mental health is deteriorating, leave. It's just going to get worse. Best friend's wife cheated twice and he is staying with her. I hope a second-hand story is allowed. I am just trying to understand what might be going on in his head so I can be there for him. I was cheated on years ago and I never considered staying, but this guy is dedicated. He's been married for 17 years. He's 39 and amp, she's 38. About a year ago she was acting distant, hiding her phone, not wanting him to go places like the gym or drinks with friends. He really got suspicious when he noticed that she would come home and get straight in the shower and do a load of laundry. He took a day off work and searched the entire house for evidence. She had been keeping journals the entire time they had been together and he decided to start reading them. He was able to find pages and pages about her sleeping with someone higher up at work. She had gone on a trip with him and told her husband that she was with her best friend. It apparently lasted a few months and ended a couple years ago. He was certain that something was going on more recently, but this was enough for him to want to end things. When he confronted her, she got angry about him reading the diaries and said she could never trust him again. They both got lawyers and were taking steps to get divorced. Then one of our other mutual friends tells him that he's seen her at the gym a few times laughing it up with another mutual friend, who's also a higher up at her company. So the husband called her and said he just got off the phone with that dude's wife, not really, and knew everything and just wanted her to be honest about everything. She broke down crying and told him she had slept with this guy on a couple different occasions. She moved in with a friend and the two kids stayed with him and he was telling everybody all about what was going on and how much of a slut she was. But then at the next counseling session she said she was sorry and she loved him but had felt like they were on different pages for so long and she missed being close to someone. And he told her he missed her and wanted to work things out. So now they have been working through things for the past couple months. And he's actually found more stuff that's made him more suspicious that the last affair was a lot more than what she's told him. Lots of early morning and late night phone calls and text messages, as well as him really figuring out her changes and patterns over the months prior. I ask him if he thinks it's going to work and why he's still with her and he says everybody makes mistakes and he's not perfect either, and he has to at least try to make it work. I just don't get it. How can you be with someone who humiliated you like that and violated your trust? Anyone heard of a marriage actually recovering from something like this? Is he just in denial at this point? I really want to be supportive but I feel like I catch myself giving him WTF looks when he's telling me about what is going on. When you're with someone a long time, if you're an empathetic person, you understand and feel the depths of their psyche. You see the good and bad. And as it turns out, it is possible to really forgive just about anything. However, what makes it different for different people is the cost. The more forgiveness that is required of you if you stay, the more selfless you have to be. I mean, sure, people like Gandhi exist, but ultimately it's an existential question whether and how much you want to embrace selflessness. That's a really good way of putting it. I'm very empathetic and if my husband cheated, it wouldn't be an automatic decision to leave for me. I'd want to hear all the context and if there was any way I thought I could forgive him and be happy staying, that's what I'd do. It's also possible I wouldn't be able to, in which case I'd leave.